Hello and welcome to August Summer Programming. I am Lindsay Rivera and this is Edna Bosseau, and we are going to be talking about Alverno Strong Educators. Edna graduated in 2017 and is currently a teacher with Milwaukee Public Schools. So thanks for joining me, Edna.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. So as you enter your 5th year of teaching, what would you say has been the most rewarding aspects of your career?
I think the most rewarding part about being a teacher so far is getting to watch Milwaukee kids go on to college and them wanting to come back to the city and continue to work on the city to make it and push it in a better direction, as well as watching them take on community leader roles.
Yeah, that's good. And then how do you handle challenging days as an educator, which I know there's those.
There was a few this last year.
Not like a pandemic just happened, but.
One of the things that I was taught when I was being mentored, when I was student teaching, was to keep any little note, any little thank you card that students or parents give to you. And I have kept those all in a box in my house, and whenever I'm having a rough day, I just reread those over, or I reread old emails the students have sent me, and that usually gives me the push to go back. Also, once students graduate, they love to add their teachers on Facebook, and just watching them do great things reminds me that I was a part of something bigger.
Yeah, that's good. So what inspired you to become an educator?
That's a good question, and I always have a different answer. I think it was growing up, I always saw teachers as these highly intelligent beings that I just always wanted to be like my teachers, and my parents always instilled on me that education is the key to your future, so I just always grew up with that value, and so I just wanted to be part of the education world.
Yeah, and I think teachers don't get people don't realize how much teachers do, and so we always appreciate when we can talk to teachers and be like, thank you. So thank you, because this has been a different year for sure. Did you have any mentors? And I think you kind of mentioned them a little bit. And then how did they help you guide you throughout your career, especially undergrad and then going into teaching yourself?
Yeah, when I was an undergrad, we had to do a lot of different field placements where you went to observe other teachers, you taught a couple lessons, and in student teaching, I was at St. Joan Antietam for a whole semester, and I actually got to mentor under Ms. Best,
we went to high school together, and we had the same math teacher.
Yeah, so I got to mentor under her, and I got to learn a lot about why she taught, how she taught, what she taught, what I would do differently, what was my strengths. And I also, during my first year of teaching, I did have a coach that really pushed me really hard my first semester of teaching. And then I did continue to get some coaching here and there, so that helped me get better.
That's good. So what advice would you offer or have you received as a teacher as teachers begin heading back to the classrooms, preparing for the first time in nearly a year and a half? I know some people have been in person, but some have not. So what's a good advice for teachers coming back?
I would say don't be scared of messing up. We're all going to mess up. And if students see the human side of you, they're going to respect you more. So just don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, I think the most personable and best relationships you have with your teachers that you adore are the ones that you got to see the real side of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good advice for sure. So as a Latinx educator, what does it mean for you to lead classrooms full of diversity? And how does the subject matter that you teach, which is math, factor into that experience?
Well, being a Latina educator has been difficult at times, especially when dealing with more systemic things, such as an all-white admin or all-white higher-ups, and having to explain to people why students of color deserve the chances that they do. But being in a room full of kids who are all diverse really has taught me to grow and learn. And it doesn't matter how progressive you think you are, students will continue to push you in the right direction. And you just have to be open to learning more from the kids because they know so much more than what some people give them credit for.
Yeah, for sure. And so you teach math. So why do you love to teach math? Because I think most people, they look at math and they're like, no, thank you.
It just always made sense to me growing up, especially growing up having to learn English as a second language. No matter if we were in math class in Spanish or we were in math class in English, I knew what was going on. But then now that I've grown up and I've learned so much more about math, I've learned that math is something that people see as a privilege if you get it. And I want to dismantle that because I truly believe everyone can do math. And so I hope that in my classroom, students believe that they can do math.
Right. Cool. So how do you demonstrate leadership both in and outside of the classroom?
That's a good question. I guess outside of the classroom, I do like to help support local businesses, and I also like to, go out where I would see my students. I'm not someone who hides away from, oh, I see a student, let me hide. No. A lot of my students have even met my mom. And there's also just pushing them to volunteer at different organizations. Sometimes I like to volunteer at Voces de la Frontera. And so just being involved in my community as well as the students' community has helped a lot.
Cool. So do you feel like we are 8 abilities based, and do you feel like that curriculum was something that was like beneficial for you as a teacher and then as you, as a student and now as a teacher?
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to elaborate. I don't know if there's a specific ability you like attached to it. I mean, you have to like pull it back from when you were here.
I think just being forced into some of the classes that I didn't think I needed at the time, like I didn't think I needed history. I didn't think I was going to need like Latinx studies for what I was doing, really helped shape me into a more complete individual. And so I'm able to better listen to my students and understand where they're coming from and understand their perspectives.
Yeah, for sure. And then why did you decide to come to Alverno? Like, what was that decision?
I visited only a couple other campuses and they didn't feel quite right. And I tell my students this too, you need to visit the campus and you need to feel the vibes. And it's probably not the best advice, but I just stepped on this campus and I just knew this is where I needed to be.
Yeah, for sure. You're not the only person that says that. It feels like home when you come in.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how would you, I'm sure you worked with other Alverno teachers, and how would you describe an Alverno teacher? And then what qualities do you strive to emulate in your classroom that still reflect Alverno?
I think an Alverno teacher is a teacher who's always seeking feedback from not just like the principal or the vice principal, but from other teachers that work with them. From the few Alverno teachers that I have gotten the privilege to work with, I can always tell that we're very detail-oriented, very timely with everything, and also just very creative in the way that we approach things.
Yeah, and so what do you strive, like how do you bring Alverno from what you learned here into your classroom?
I haven't really been good at this, but I keep making it my goal every year. I want to have a more collaborative classroom because I know how much better math was when I got to work with other people than like when I did it by myself.
Yeah.
So it's something that I really want to have in my classroom that just for one reason or another I haven't been able to do it successfully, but that's something that in 10, 20 years I would love to see collaboration in my classroom.
Yeah, that's good. So what impact did your Alverno education have on you both professionally and personally? I think you share a little bit, but if you want to elaborate on that.
I think one of the biggest things that I remember from Alverno shaping me is my professors. When I was struggling and even believing that I could do math, my professors are always there to keep pushing me and keep providing me with high standards so that I could meet those standards and truly demonstrate that, yes, I could do it.
Yeah.
So I try to emulate that for my students.
Good. And then how about like so that was professionally. What about personally? Like, how do you feel like Alverno shaped you personally?
I think it really helped with my confidence. I mean, especially because you knew me in high school. I probably would have said no to this.
I know.
But Alverno really pushed me out of my shell and gave me a lot of opportunities to put myself out there in ways that I didn't think I ever would.
Right. And then our last question is, what does Alverno Strong mean to you?
Oh, gosh. I think Alverno Strong means someone who is a well-rounded individual who wants to do best for themselves and everyone around them.
Yeah, it's a good response. Well, thank you for your time. It was so good to see you.
Yeah.
And thank you for educating our students and being someone that leaves a pathway for our kids in Milwaukee. We appreciate
Thank you.
Thanks.